You're listening to Cinematic Adventures, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Badges? We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
You make me want to be a better man.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
He's looking at you, kid.
I've always depended on the kindness of strangers.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Would you be shocked if I put on something more comfortable?
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Cinematic Adventures. If you're listening to us on the go, you can catch us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher, and then anywhere else you can get your podcasts. As always, I am one of your hosts. My name is Sean, and I am here, as always, with Paul. Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Sean. How are you doing today?
I am good. How about, just
feeling groovy today.
Feeling groovy.
Swell.
Yeah. Good
pork
segue.
Pork chops and applesauce.
Do you actually eat pork chops and applesauce?
Okay, for the record, yes. But it's also a catchphrase of one of the characters we're going to be talking about today.
It is a catchphrase.
And it wasn't uttered once during the entire movie.
No, but it was written on a little chalkboard. You had to catch it at the right moment.
Now, if anybody's figured out what movie we're doing by this dialogue alone...
You can stop watching. You can stop listening now.
That'd be really impressive, actually.
Well, as everyone knows, if you listen to our previous episode, we begin the month of June. We are going to do movies made from television shows. Not television shows made from movies. We're doing TV shows came first, and they eventually made them into a feature-length film.
I think if this month is successful, we should do a month at some point where it's the opposite.
Movies into TV shows?
Like you got like your shows like Cobra Kai that have become super popular.
No, that's definitely an option.
Yeah, I don't know how many successful adaptations they've done of movies to TV shows.
It's harder.
It's much harder.
Much harder because it has to be drawn out much. You know, a good example. I don't know if you've heard of it on TNT is the show Snowpiercer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the movie was... I mean, I remember the movie coming out.
With Chris Evans.
But it wasn't like...
It did not break the bank.
It wasn't a blockbuster.
I heard it was good,
but now the show, I hear, is fantastic.
Fantastic, yeah.
Fargo on FX. They do an excellent job because it's a different story every season.
Lethal Weapon?
Lethal Weapon was 3 years, so that was successful. I mean,
Taken.
That's right.
Yeah,
that lasted 2 years too.
Yeah. I never watched it.
2 years. I tried it. It wasn't bad, but then they rebooted it like halfway through, so I kind of was just like, eh.
Oh, it was Tooken.
It was Tooken.
They changed it to Tooken.
That was good. So, well, first of all, folks, let's we hope all of you had a happy and safe Memorial Day. If you live in the Northeast, then it was a crappy weekend.
Yeah.
Much of a letdown. So we hope you enjoyed our Star Wars month and our final episode, which was the movie Fanboys. We had a good time doing that.
Also, fun fact. Our Return of the Jedi episode is our most listened to episode of all time. Yes.
Wow.
I don't know why.
But of all the Star Wars ones, I'm surprised it's Return of the Jedi.
I will double check that at some point. But as of right now,
I don't deny you that's. I believe it, but I'm shocked.
Well, you know what? We've had a lot of support from other podcasts that I've been in touch with on things like Instagram and stuff like that. So our numbers are very entertaining. But yeah, actually, scratch that. I lied. Return of the Jedi is our second. A New Hope is our first.
Okay.
Yep. A New Hope is our highest, most listened to episode.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening and downloading. That is a big, huge plus for us. We enjoy doing this. We want to keep doing it. And the more you guys listen, the more we do better.
Yep. So like other podcasts that I know I've been talking to, the Waffle Punch podcast, they're really good. They did a Star Wars themed episode that was a lot of fun for me to listen to. Because one of the things that I enjoy is not just as a podcaster, but I've listened to podcasts for years.
Yes.
I started listening to podcasts. The first podcast I ever listened to was called Ninth Wonders, and it was a Heroes podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a
flashback to 2006.
Cut. The deep cut. And then I was listening to one called what was it? The Starkville Labs. Mm-hmm. It was about Smallville.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of podcasting and a lot of listening to a lot of podcasts, so it's always good to hear new ones. smaller ones. But yeah, Waffle Punch is fantastic. Superman and Lois podcast, Something Super podcast. So I got a few that I've been in touch with, given our general genre, as it were.
There you go.
So, yeah, if you guys are on Podbean or anything else, please give them a like, give them a listen, and let them know that we sent you.
Definitely. Well, so we, as a team, when we came up with the idea to do the TV shows that were made into movies, we had a decent list. We went over a list of all the TV shows out there that have been made into movies, and we decided, right off the bat, we both agreed that the one I think we'd have the most fun with doing to start off the month would be the Brady Bunch.
Yes.
And that is what we are going to be talking about today, the Brady Bunch movie, which was released in February of 1995.
So I think it's safe to say that our rationale was we wanted TV movie adaptations of different genres, right?
Yes.
Not just the source material, like this is a drama, this is a comedy, this is a family. We wanted ones that, because doing an adaptation, especially of a beloved television show, is not easy.
No.
And unfortunately, they try a lot to do this.
They try much more than they should.
Yes.
Because it's a cash cow. I mean, if you have a successful TV show,
people will go see it.
People will go see it just on name alone. I mean, 1995, you've had. I mean, I don't quote me on the years of this, but at this time you had a movie about the Beverly Hillbillies. You had a Leave It to Beaver movie. You had a Car 54 Where Are You movie. I think a year or two later you had McHale's Navy. I mean, they were just bleeding dry all these like 60s and 70s TV shows just to get, some extra money out of these movies, and most of them were bombs. This is probably one of the more successful TV movie adaptations of a TV show, along with like The Addams Family. So definitely one of the more stronger ones in our lifetime.
Mm-hmm. And again, like I said, we wanted ones that are all different. So throughout the month, we're going to do like this one's more of a satire homage
comedy,
type thing.
Yeah.
We're going to do ones that are straight adaptations. We're going to do ones that change the genre of the TV show. And maybe we'll just do an episode where we just chat about it, kind of like when we did our satire, our parody episode.
Parody episode. Yep.
Yeah. Some topical stuff, because it's such a big topic nowadays, and especially with like the success of shows like Stranger Things, that there's a really big nostalgia for the 80s properties. And now, obviously going into 2021 and 2022, where people are going to start looking at the 90s next. And
can I ask a favor?
Yeah, hit me.
When I know it's not a movie, but when Stranger Things 4 comes out, can we do an episode on Stranger Things?
Absolutely. We can do an episode on whatever we want.
I want to talk about that show, because I think that's one of the greatest shows ever done.
Really?
I love that show.
You and I have never actually talked about Stranger Things.
No.
Why? What is happening? What is
you're
our
the
friendship?
one you're the one that put me onto it, and just we never really ever.
It's like we don't even talk anymore.
I don't know who you are.
Fridays at 4:30. That's it. And I have to confirm via Snapchat.
Oh, God.
What are you doing tomorrow? We should do a bonus episode.
There you go.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
But today we are talking about February 17th, 1995's The Brady Bunch. I wanted to be more specific with the date just because Sean's computer's not working.
Oh, yeah, my computer is pissing me off today, folks. I'm sorry.
Well, you left
so
it here for a week.
If I sound a little... Yeah, but it's been off, so it shouldn't be, shouldn't be doing this. But.
So, directed by Betty Thomas. Written by Laurice Eluani, Rick Kopp, Bonnie Turner, and Terry Turner.
And I believe the original creator of the show, Sherwood Schwartz, had a big say in this movie.
He was producing.
Producer,
yeah.
But it wasn't just like a credit producer. He actually was involved in this movie. I believe it was his ideas how they got to this, the overall feeling of this movie.
So let's talk about the feeling of this movie.
Do you want to talk about the show a little, or do you just want to go into the movie?
We can talk about the show first.
So I'm sure... I mean, who hasn't seen The Brady Bunch?
The Brady Bunch is one of those shows that everybody is at least familiar with.
Yes.
And has an idea. Like, when you say The Brady Bunch, they always have, like, the same ideas. The squares and the opening credit scene.
I just remember every day, 4:30 TBS, right before Saved by the Bell, The Brady Bunch was on. So
God.
That was my introduction to The Brady Bunch.
See, that's another fun idea. Like, in the vein of this topic, they Cobra Kai'd Saved by the Bell. Now it's got a brand new revival show.
That's right.
Revivals are the next big thing too, because you know what it is also about all these properties? They're easier to get access to, right? So, like, a lot of times they would do a revival or something along those lines. the numbers wouldn't be the same because people couldn't go back and watch the original stuff, whether it was in the 80s when you couldn't tape things or, then the 90s where you ran out of tape, like...
Or you couldn't figure out how to extend the tape. Are you doing it in slow motion? What are you doing?
Kids today will never know the struggle of setting a timer for to tape something.
And then hope to God that the tape doesn't run out before your thing ends.
The other day I got mad because I couldn't rewind the show I was currently watching live far enough. And then I said out loud in the middle of my living room, I'm the very evil that I've been fighting against. I've become what I've hated. And my wife and cat both just looked at me. And, I'm pretty sure divorce papers are heading my way because she's a little concerned.
Good.
But,
is that what those are?
No, I haven't opened them yet. So
I love how there's a pen right there and a little note saying, sign these now.
Sign these, don't read them. But anyway, so the Brady Bunch is the stereotypical, very in the vein of Full House and shows like that.
Yeah.
The family... not a comedy, but
perfect family.
Perfect family. Every situation can be resolved within 22 minutes of runtime with commercials.
It's in the vein, those 50s family comedies. Every decade there's those, perfect family comedies with very little, what's the word? Anything wrong.
Any stakes.
Any stakes in it.
Except for Cousin Oliver.
Fun fact, well, there you go. To replace Bobby Brady. The Brady Bunch, as it was a successful show in terms of fans, but it was never a ratings blockbuster. Apparently, it was always on the verge of cancellation every year.
Interesting.
And it was only until it hit syndication that it became the the phenomenon that it became in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and now probably not as much so now, even though it's still on. I believe it's on Nick at Night still. You can find it anywhere, honestly. It's probably on one of the streaming services that I'm just not aware of.
Well, let's do a little technical stuff. It is a sitcom-style show created by Sherwood Schwartz.
Same as Gilligan's Island.
Mm-hmm. That's another one I'm sure did they make a movie of Gilligan?
They've been talking about it for years. They just never can get over it.
Well, technically it's in continuity with the sequel, which we'll talk about too.
There you go.
It ran for 5 seasons and made a total of 117 episodes. For a 22-minute show, I feel like there should be more. Actually, no. 5 seasons is about
late 60s, early 70s. That's pretty much when shows started doing the traditional 23, 24, 25 episodes. Back in the early 60s, shows were doing like 32, 33 episodes a year. So I think by that time, you're at the point where we're kind of at now, where shows are like 22, 23 episodes. So that sounds about right.
So the original show, I'll run through the cast really quick.
Go.
We had Robert Reed as Mike Brady, Florence Henderson as Carol Brady, Ann B. Davis as Alice, Maureen McCormick as Marcia, Eve Plum as Jan, Susan Olsen as Cindy, Barry Williams as Greg, Christopher Knight as Peter, and Mike Lookinland as Bobby.
Good job.
Thank you. I had to really sound it out.
Good job.
We had some recurring characters were Sam Franklin, who was Alice's boyfriend, the local butcher, Tiger, who disappeared, Mr. Phillips, who's Mike's boss, and the infamous Cousin Oliver. I love when they, in this movie, how they get rid of Cousin Oliver and Tiger.
Oh, in the sequel, yes.
Oh, it's a sequel?
It's a sequel.
Oh, I could have sworn it was this one.
That was brutal.
Oh, my God. Cousin Oliver and Tiger. They die off screen.
So horrible.
Oh, man. It's great, though. Now, did you ever see the Brady, tell-all?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
What's her name?
You got this, man.
Oh.
You can do it. You can do this. Come on.
Kaylee Cuoco.
Kaylee Cuoco.
Kaylee Cuoco
yes.
played Maureen McCormick.
Oh my God.
Oh, that was that was right after Alley Cat Strike. Remember Alley Cat Strike?
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course I do.
Yeah, so that was that came out right after that. So that's how I recognized her. And
was that a film? Growing Up Brady.
It was a TV movie.
Yeah, Growing Up Brady.
That was early 2000s when they were making all these behind the scenes TV movies. They did one for the Partridge Family. They did one for Brady Bunch. They did one for the Monkees. So it was every other month they were doing these, tell-all TV movies about these.
Saved by the Bell did one too, and the cast were pissed about the Saved by the Bell one.
Three Stooges did one. So it was that little streak back, late 90s, early 2000s where, you got to relive all these famous sitcoms
from behind the scenes.
Find the hidden tell-all secrets
like who was sleeping with who.
Yeah, well, the famous one is Greg and Marsha were dating in real life,
which they do such great stuff with in the sequel.
Yeah. So
yes, Greg.
I mean, overall, the show is it's quirky.
It's a staple of American culture,
absolutely.
though. It really is an important part of television and has such a legacy too.
I mean, it's that's what it is. It's a show that you can look back on. You can introduce your kids to it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a slice of apple pie.
It's the stereotypical, but it also did a lot of good things. Like it was one of the biggest shows to feature a blended family. And the fact that they all referred to each other as brother, sister, mom, dad, like do you ever find out what happens to their significant others?
You never find out about
in the show
the mother, Mike Brady's first wife, but I think they mentioned that Carol's first husband died. They never really go into it. I mean, basically the show starts off with them getting married, so they become a family fairly quickly. And there's really no fallout from that.
We do see the wedding in the pilot.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. But Mike Brady was just the dad. He was just the cool guy. Like he was a great person, and everybody wanted him as their dad.
And the actor Robert Reed despised the show.
Oh yeah, and he and Sherwood Schwartz had a lot of issues.
Yeah, a lot of issues, to the point where the very last episode of the series, Robert Reed said, "I will not be in this episode because it's a stupid plot."
Yeah,
and he wasn't in it. He did reappear in all the sequel movies that they did. They did the Brady Girls Get Married. They did a Christmas one. They did. They actually did an hour-long variety show.
Yeah.
And then they did a hour-long drama in the early 90s that lasted like 6 episodes.
God.
So the Brady Bunch were bled dry, and so we get to midnight, 94, 95. I remember listening to an interview with Sherwood Schwartz, and he said, for a couple of years he'd been approached to try and get the Brady Bunch, as an actual feature-length movie. And he was like, okay, but I'm going to be heavily involved in this. 'Cause I think he
probably has a majority
owns the rights or something. And he could they could never agree on how they were going to do it. And again, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty confident that he said that he came up with the idea that let's have the family be basically exactly the way they are. 1970s family, but implant them into 90s LA.
And I think it's genius.
I think it's brilliant because you could have just gone the easy way and just made a simple Brady Bunch movie set, in
just a 2-hour episode.
2-hour episode, and make it, set in the 70s and just, come up with an interesting idea. But instead, you turn the family on its head and you make them a joke. But not, they have no idea.
Yeah,
they're just living their lives.
They're the happiest people
you'll
ever
absolutely.
Meet. Now, really quick, before we continue, I did find out that Mike Brady is a widower, excuse me. But Carol Brady, originally they never mentioned why she's not married.
Okay.
So originally they wanted her to be, Sherwood Schwartz originally wanted her to be a divorcee. But ABC refused to allow the fate of her first marriage to be revealed on the show.
Yeah, divorce was still taboo back then. You really couldn't talk about divorce.
Yeah, it's strange, very strange.
Yeah, no, but they that was a huge thing in TV. You could not be divorced.
Well, that's why I loved watching WandaVision recently, because some of those early episodes, they the separate beds, all that stuff. Yeah. I loved it. I loved being reminded.
The Brady. Yeah, no, they
were in one bed.
They were in one bed
because every episode had a scene of them just sitting in the bed, and they were also I'm just gonna put this delicately. They were a very sexually active couple.
Oh, absolutely.
They were constantly implied. We can't show it on TV, but what's happening.
You know what's happening in this thought bubble.
Quagmire. But anyway, I really enjoy that too. As they're a family that's full of love and
absolutely, and it gives you something totally different coming into this movie. It's a totally different take on
the television adaptation.
That too, again, it was a gamble, and I think it paid off because it just added a whole nother dimension to the Brady Bunch. Now, you could say, in a way, it kind of made the Brady Bunch a little more, stupid. Is this really, I don't know how. I'd be interested to see how the original cast, was towards this movie. Now, they all cameoed.
Apparently, Florence Henderson did not want to cameo.
Originally, no.
But they managed to convince her.
They managed to convince her, because I think originally, whatever role they offered her, she didn't appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
But, in the movie, what's Barry Williams cameos, Christopher Knight cameos.
I was going to go through the cast list and the cameo list.
The others filmed scenes, but were cut. So, and apparently you can't find them anywhere. But,
that's sad.
But I've never actually heard any of them say anything negative about the movie.
No.
I'm sure they're all like, it was probably a smart idea, interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of times you get these TV adaptations, and they either go too serious or just like completely different than the actual show.
Yeah.
Sometimes it really does work. Like for this, it worked. Or for 21 Jump Street, I know you and I have differing opinions on 21 Jump Street, but the sequel is one of my favorite.
I still actually haven't seen the sequel.
The sequel does what this sequel does, where they lean so hard into the tropes that like make it funny, and they make it even funnier.
Yeah.
Like they talk about, we ran out of money because we used too much money, like silly things like that. But do you want me to go through the cast list?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so we have Gary Cole as Mike Brady. I love Gary Cole.
Oh, Gary Cole's great. I mean, that guy can be dramatic, absolutely great actor, dramatic on one part, and then just play the dumbest character in the other. I mean, the character in Dodgeball.
Oh, I love it.
What's Office Space?
Office,
which I mean,
yeah.
that is close to iconic, that role, just because everybody whenever they go to work,
what's happening?
They copy him in that.
Oh,
he's great as Mike Brady. I mean, he has
really the
does.
charm. He has like the smile and the perm, like the whole nine, and just he's an architect that keeps building the same thing over and over again. Nobody wants to buy it. You got Shelley Long as Carol Brady.
She was great too.
Oh, I mean, like the cast was
very
point.
Good. Cast was good. I mean, you got to mention. Well, you will, but go ahead.
Okay, then. Thank you for letting me know. You got Henriette Mantel as Alice. Mm-hmm. Christopher Daniel Barnes as Greg Brady,
where do you know him from?
He was Prince Eric.
Well, there you go.
At age 16 in Little Mermaid, and he was Spider-Man in the 90s.
Ooh.
And I loved him, and I think they're bringing him back for the new Spider-Verse, supposedly.
Ooh,
yeah, which would be great.
That is great.
Let's see, you got Christine Taylor as Marsha Brady,
who many people believed was actually Marie McCormick when they first saw the movie.
Oh my god,
because she looks exactly like her.
They did a killer job with that. Paul Cetera as Peter Brady. Jennifer Elise Cox as Jan Brady, who also nails it. Like, oh my god,
well, they make the Jan character just so neurotic,
just the worst.
I mean, they take that character and they take every character and make it a little more crazier than it was.
They dial up each character
pretty much, exactly.
And
like, she was great. I mean, she's like the fodder of the movie because you feel for her.
Oh my god,
she's just this. She's like Meg.
Yes. Well,
she's Meg before there was Meg. Yeah.
You got Jesse Lee Soffer as Bobby Brady, Olivia Hack as Sydney Brady, David Graff as Sam, Michael McKean as Larry Dittmeyer, Dinkelberg, Jean Smart as Dina Dittmeyer. I'm going to accidentally say Dinkelberg at some point. Jack Noseworthy as Eric Dittmeyer, Mariah Snyder as Missy Dittmeyer. Then mostly like some of the lesser knowns. RuPaul as Mrs. Cummings. I totally forgot.
She was in the trailer.
Yeah. All right. So the cameos we had: Florence Henderson plays the family's grandmother, Carol's mom. Ann B. Davis plays Schultze, a trucker. Barry Williams as a record producer. Christopher Knight as a coach. Davy Jones, Mickey Dolenz, and Peter Tork as themselves, and probably one of the best cameos when they all vote for the Bradys.
Oh, they all vote for the Bradys, and then Davy Jones, of course, has the song in the middle of the movie at the dance. That was great.
Who is that? But yeah, this movie, like, it's funny because you can see their thought process. Like, it's an episodic movie.
Well, because it's taking literally 10 of the best episodes of the show and just molding it into a plot line for a movie.
I'm very curious as to if the thought process was, let's do this in the modern time with the Bradys, still time placed, or if it was, well, let's just take our 10 best episodes, put them together, and then maybe we should make this in the modern era though. So I'm very curious to see if what their intention always was for this movie. Whether it was, we always wanted to do it where they're stuck in the 60s, but they're in the 90s. I don't know. It's an interesting concept.
Because I feel that I don't think you could do this movie where it's them in the 90s, actually in the 90s.
Yeah.
I don't think it would work.
Like a modern...
It would be a movie. It would probably have some moments, but it wouldn't be as memorable to me as it is with this. So I think... I really do. I think they went the right way. And, it's interesting because, just to come up with that. Because in essence, you're kind of... What's the word? You're giving grief to your show because you're pointing out all the stupidity of it.
Yeah, but I think the fact that it's almost 25 years after the show ended.
I mean, yes, show ended in 73, 74, and the movie didn't come out till 95. But the Brady Bunch was fresh on everybody's minds. I mean, it was probably on it was in syndication. Only a couple years earlier they were doing the TV movies, so I mean, it was still popular. But I wonder. I can imagine diehard fans weren't, were enjoying it.
Oh yeah, unfortunately, we're getting further and further away from stuff like this where people don't remember. Like, if they did a Brady Bunch series right now, I'm sure it would be some sort of special, and I'm sure people would watch it. But
they'll probably CW would do a Brady Bunch, and it would be like Riverdale or Sabrina
or Powerpuff Girls.
It'd be like
Did you hear they're redoing that pilot?
I heard.
Yeah,
I heard.
Oh,
but
not a good sign.
I mean, again, you could see. It depends on the property. I mean, could you make a dark Brady Bunch? Probably not.
Like a Riverdale stuff.
That's what I'm saying, because who would have thought you could make Riverdale? Because when you see the Archies, like the Archie comics...
Oh my God, they are the Brady Bunch.
There you go. I mean, that is, that the Archie comics to me is exactly what the Brady Bunch is. It's just that moment in time where it was just, everything was just all goody two-shoes and all that stuff. So it's some properties work in different ways, some properties don't. Mm-hmm. I'd be interested to see it if they could do something like that, but it probably wouldn't.
Jen would be a serial killer. One of my favorite running jokes in both these movies is that she hears voices.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh,
I can't remember if they did that in the show.
Her hearing voices.
Her hearing voices.
I think they did internal monologues and stuff like that, but I don't think they ever did
hearing voices. But so I guess we want to talk about the famous episodes that did come into
the parody.
Parody.
Yeah, you got that.
So. Obviously, the plot of the story, which is actually original, it wasn't taken from a show, is that somehow the family has not been paying their property tax. Yeah. And they get a notice in the mail saying that they are days away from their house being auctioned off. Mm-hmm. And they need to raise $20,000 to basically get their house back. At the same time, their next door neighbor, Mr. Dittmeyer, has a deal with a developer to basically tear down the entire block of houses and build a residential shopping mall type thing. And he's gotten every neighbor to say, yes, we will, sell you our house, except for the Brady Bunch. So
of course,
right there, who's the villain of the movie, and what his goal is to try and get the Bradys to move. So that's the drawn out storyline. So the whole movie is basically trying to figure out how they're going to make this money, and in between you get these very moments that are parodies of the episodes they came from. The most famous one, of course, to me is Marcia getting her nose hit with the football. Oh, my nose.
It's iconic.
I mean, that is even to the point where, remember it was on TGIF, the very
throwback
Teen Angel. You remember that show?
Oh my God.
So it was only on for 1 year, but the first 7 or 8 episodes.
He dies from a hamburger.
He dies from a hamburger. That's right.
I had nightmares about that.
The mother is played by Maureen McCormick.
Yes,
and they did where
Oh,
the son throws a football for some reason, and he hits her in the nose, and she does the "oh my nose." I mean, it's literally to the point where in commercials on Nick at Night they would like play that scene over and over and over again. I think it's the most famous scene from the show. So that one, of course, had to be in the movie. You have Bobby as a safety monitor, which was an episode. You have Greg trying to become a rock star. You know, and they actually sing the song that he sings in the show.
Cindy as the tattler. You have Jan with the whole, you know, I'm the middle child and the wig. You know, yep.
You know, the new Jan Brady. You have Alice trying to get Sam to propose to her. So you have all these. The Search for the Stars contest. That was an episode where
that was originally Jan's idea.
Yes, that was originally Jan's idea. And of course, you know, the Brady Bunch kids actually started singing in real life. And so you had the two, I think their two most favorite songs are in the movie. So, you know, they had the potato sack race, you know, in their backyard. It's just, you know, it was smart that it took the famous bits from the show and brought them into the movie.
Oh, absolutely.
They didn't go for all original ideas. They wanted to keep it with the TV show.
I think it worked out for the best.
It did.
I definitely think it was a much better choice for them. But yeah, I mean, like this, it's just fun. It's just like if you went into this expecting like an actual Brady Bunch episode just as a movie, you might have been surprised and/or disappointed. Because the second Cindy opens up the fence and she's suddenly in like ghetto LA.
That's a great. I mean, I think it's a great scene because you're literally they are blocked in from the rest of the world.
It's perfect.
I mean, it's literally and
symbolic.
To the point that the camera, the cinematography changes. Like you could see it. It just becomes like this. You know,
it's grainier.
Yes.
The lighting changes.
Yep.
Like I like stuff like that when they, you know, when they're home and they're safe. It's the '60s. It's, you know, it's their little bubble. And then, but it's even funnier because when they leave, they're still in that bubble.
They're still in the bubble. I mean,
this is a car, Jack.
Of course, it's a car. But my name's not Jack. It's Greg.
It's Greg. I love it. You know,
I mean, she's a Davy Jones fan. It's 1993.
They're all like, "Who's Davy Jones?"
Oh God, it really is.
Your tongue was in my mouth.
That's a French kiss, Marcia.
Your hand's on my shoulder. That's third base.
Her best friend, who is clearly in love with her.
Oh,
she has no clue.
Oh yeah, it's perfect. You know. But
they do get away with a lot in this movie, though. Like, just
I think the second one's worse.
Second one probably, but I mean, in this one, I was watching it the other day, and I'm just like, wow, those jokes just went right over my head as a kid because you wouldn't know.
We were at that perfect age when we saw it. We were like 7.
I mean, the next door neighbor, you know, his wife, who is clearly an alcoholic and is always hungover, you know, goes to the youngest daughter and says, you know, let your dad know I'll wrap his package the next time for Christmas.
What?
And then, you know, when both Peter and Greg are over at the house, and she's like, you know, why don't you boys come inside and help me make a sandwich? I'm just like, what?
Wow.
It really, and the way she delivers the line too is just, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah,
it really
great.
is.
Oh God.
I mean, they really did a good job.
Oh yeah, like the script is on point. The cinematography is great.
The directing is great. Betty Thomas is a very good director. She also did Dr. Dolittle, the first Dr. Dolittle.
See, that's another good example of
taking an old property and
reboot,
rebooting it for, you know, present day. I mean, I remember when that movie came out. That movie was hysterical.
I mean, I still enjoy that movie.
Oh, I do too.
It's unfortunately for that movie, the first Dr. Dolittle, and I know we're off topic, but it's our podcast. Leave us be. The first Dr. Dolittle really pushed the PG-13 rating.
Oh, absolutely.
But then they realized
the second one just went. It's like Major League and Major League 2. It's very, you know, it's like, okay, guys, you know, we got to tone it down a little, but...
We realized that kids are going to see this movie about talking animals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And that they drove that franchise into the ground.
Oh,
and I never saw the Robert Downey Jr. one.
Well, that's going more off the original Dr. Dolittle.
Yeah.
You know,
but, you know, Dr. Dolittle is... and I'm sure eventually we'll tackle it at some point, but Dr. Dolittle is a great example of revitalizing, remodernizing. You know, sometimes stories are better when you put them in a more modern setting.
Yes.
This is a great example. This movie, it's funnier. It's better because of the setting. And because of everything else that's happening around these kids who are just like, man, this is far out, guys. We should enter Star Search. $20,000 exactly. Groovy. This is a car.
Other movies Betty Thomas has directed.
Hit it.
She directed John Tucker Must Die.
I thoroughly enjoy that movie.
I didn't know that. She directed Alvin and the Chipmunks.
The first one?
The first one.
Okay.
I'm sorry. She did the sequel.
Oh.
She did the squeakquel.
Oh, get out of here. The first one's tolerable because they also do like their Chipmunk songs in it.
Yeah. She did Private Parts, the Howard Stern movie.
Oh, wow.
Those are probably her biggest. Yeah, those are her biggest movies. She did a lot of TV early on. She was an actress before that. Dr. Dolittle. She did I Spy.
Oh my God, talking about movie adaptations from TV shows.
TV shows into movies.
I remember when I was younger, I enjoyed that movie, but growing up, like, this is a sock. Like, watching it now, I'm like, oh, this is really cringy.
It's one of those movies where the funniest moments in the trailer. And
yeah.
You're walking in going like, okay, that's the one scene I laughed at, nothing else.
And now you watch it, you're like, well, Famke Jensen's the bad guy.
Well, obviously.
Like, it's got... What? Isn't she trying to crush Bond in this scene? So what? Hit me.
No more foreplay. What's your favorite moment from the movie?
From this movie?
Yeah.
All right. So
not I Spy.
No, I know. I gotcha. But or James Bond. But so you and I differ in that I like the sequel better. Not to say that you don't like the sequel. We're going to talk about the sequel.
We'll talk about the sequel. I like the sequel. I just think this one is a better movie.
That's fair. That's totally fair. Really, the scene that makes me like always just chuckle is when it's hard to pick out one specific one. Like obviously, like I mentioned the opening scene where she like opens the door and suddenly there. I gotta say it's when Peter's voice, like he finally
when his voice changes
and he just got the deep voice and like he's singing with it and all that, like that's just a great. The girl kisses him because he stands up to the bully.
Doesn't do anything. The guy does it to himself.
Yeah, but like it's still funny and it's one of the few times where the modern setting directly impacts a Brady in this. For the most part, with the exception of Jan. Like, the rest of them are still completely oblivious to the outside world.
Yeah.
But I think it's the best time that there's an interaction almost between the modern world and the Brady world, and there's a ramification from it. Mm-hmm. So that scene always just made me laugh, and I enjoy it as a scene in the movie. What about you?
The go-to scene for me I always loved was the school dance where Davy Jones comes out on stage, and the entire gym is silent. It's like crickets, except for the teachers. All the female teachers are all like, "Is that Davy Jones? Oh my God!" So he starts singing the song, and the band behind him is like, "What is this? What are we doing here?" And then they start to play, and they turn this song into like a grunge song.
Yeah. And he rolls with it.
And he rolls with it, and Marsha's dancing with her. Not the Doug Simpson, but the other guy that she was supposed to go out with, but didn't. And they're doing this, stupid choreographed dance. And then all these 90 kids are just going along with it, and it's just it's a funny moment. It really is.
So I'm gonna really upset you.
I'm
gonna really upset you.
I don't think that's possible.
I didn't know who Davy Jones was for a long time.
That's fair. That's fair.
When I saw this movie, even though like I had seen the Brady Bunch and like when I was much younger, I saw this movie. I was like, it's Reginald Fairfield.
Okay, I got to give you props for that. I mean, that's funny.
For those you got to see, that's a show that I would love for. Like the sequel series was fine, was good. For those of you guys who don't know, we're talking about Boy Meets World, and then its sequel series, Girl Meets World. Both really good properties.
Yep.
Yeah, but I would say that episode of Boy Meets World is one of my favorites of the show.
Oh, when they sing "My Girl" at the family at the
anniversary
party.
Anniversary party / the rave.
I love that because when and again, we're getting off topic. I'm sorry, but
we're talking about Davy Jones.
When Mr. Feeney figures out what they're doing, and Corey's like, "Mr. Feeney, please don't say anything." He goes, "As long as that man over there does not touch me."
Yeah.
And then like it goes 2 minutes, and all of a sudden you see Corey go, "Hey, you with the hair! Don't touch that!" I lose it every time because it's off screen, but you can only just imagine what's going on.
But even worse, this is why you're gonna hate me. When I first saw that episode.
Mm-hmm. You had no idea who they were.
I had no idea who they were.
Yeah.
And like they have the audience, like freaking out that the monkeys are now together on like, and I'm like, why is everybody cheering so loud? And why is Topanga's dad played by a fourth actor?
That's true. See, I never knew Peter Tork, one of the other monkeys, played her father. I never
in
knew
just that one episode.
Just that one episode. And Michael McKean, who is in the Brady Bunch movie, actually played her father in I think a later episode.
Yeah.
So like they can never find. Yeah, they never found the same actors. That they didn't care apparently about recasting.
It's so weird because nowadays recasting is such a big thing.
Well, because you can go back. I mean, can't go back, but I know, like Seinfeld, they cast an actor early on, and then like they would replace the actor, but then they would go back and redo an episode from earlier on and put that actor back in. So now you can only see it with the actor who went on to play it, regularly.
Yeah.
But I'm not shocked that you had no idea who the monkeys were. I mean, I think the Brady Bunch is how I was in the Brady Bunch movie is how I was introduced to the monkeys, because you get the Davy Jones scene, so he's by himself, and then at the end, I remember watching with my parents, and the scene where you see the three of them sitting at the judge table. I just remember my parents laughing, and I'm like, "Why is that funny?" And they go, "Well, those are the monkeys." I said, "Who are the monkeys?" Well, they were a band back in the '60s that was a spoof on the Beatles. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And me being a Beatles fan, I was like, "Oh, well, let me," And then the show popped on TV and. So that's how I got introduced to the monkeys. But yeah, no, totally get it that you didn't know who those were. So, but that was always my favorite scene of the movie because I just found that funny.
Oh, it's just a good time, and it makes me like now, especially as an adult, and we do this for our fun Friday nights.
Oh yeah.
Like it's funny, going back to this, and now with such a better palette or a better compendium of movie and television
word of
knowledge.
The day right there.
Movie?
No, what'd you say? The
compendium.
Compendium.
Yeah, I knew that was what you're talking about. That was the immediate question. But yeah, I really like this movie. It's better now as an adult.
Yeah,
and it was still good as a kid.
As a kid, you laughed at certain scenes that were funny. I mean, like. I think the scene when they go to Sears is hysterical. It's like, put on your Sunday best, kids. We're going to Sears. And they're literally choreographing a dance on the escalator, and then they go to the cameras. And they're all like, and then Michael McKean he's got a cast around his neck.
Yep.
He's holding a toilet, and he's getting pushed against the TV screens, and then they're reenacting the famous opening.
Yeah.
And he drops the toilet on his foot. That stuff you laughed at as a kid because it's funny.
Yeah.
But like, the in-jokes of the show, you really didn't get much as a kid. Now, looking back on it as an adult, you appreciate it so much more, and it makes it even funnier. So it was all around just I thought it was very good. I'm not sure how it was received critically.
I'm 62% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's not horrible.
Nah, it's right about there. Star City rating before we take a quick break.
Star City rating, I give it a 3.
3?
Yeah,
that's fair.
I give it a 3.
I'm right there with you. I think a 3 is right about where it should be.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. It was so it was a $12 million budget. Opening weekend, it made its money back. $14 million opening weekend.
And made enough to make a sequel.
Overall, nice segue.
Thanks.
Overall, it did $46.5 million. So
very nice.
For 1995, that's not bad.
That's not bad at all. So you want to take a quick break and then talk about the sequel?
Yes, sir. So we will be right back, folks.
Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by Raise Energy Drinks. Raise is a proud member of Rep Sports, and if you guys are looking for a little extra kick during your day, whether you need to tackle a workout or you need to get over that afternoon slump, you can always check out Raise Energy, and if you get to checkout and you enter the code CINEMATIC, not only will you be getting a 15% discount, but you'll also be supporting the network. So that's Raise Energy with Rep Sports. Code is CINEMATIC, CINEMATIC.
And we're back, and Paul just had a nice little rescue he just, did, so good job, Paul.
Oh, thank you. For those of you guys who don't know, my wife is scared of spiders, and luckily I did not hit record to hear her screaming upstairs.
That was a little fun.
Oh, that was fun.
All right, well, so we talked about the Brady Bunch movie. Let's go on to the sequel, which came out, I believe, 2 years later, in 1987, and it is called... What do you know? A Very Brady Sequel.
What?
Yeah. So the whole cast returns. All the kids are the same. Newcomer to this movie is Tim Matheson, who plays what you think is Carol's long-lost husband.
Yeah, who is it? What's his name?
Roy Martin?
Roy Martin, yes.
So the movie opens up...
I was looking at the wrong one.
The movie opens up with a kind of Indiana Jones-ish, beginning where two guys are basically somewhere in, like, Africa or Asia and are looking for this, artifact. It turns out to be, which is funny in my opinion, it turns out to be this... horse,
the antique
horse that you see in almost every episode of the show, but there was never any discussion about it. It's just a prop on the show, but they turn it into this priceless antique that
MacGuffin
that Carol's husband has found, and his partner, who is, you could sense, is a little more just worried about the money instead of the recognition of finding such a hefty item. He learns that Roy has sent it ahead to his wife, and what?
I just read a fun fact about this movie.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to hear it now?
You can hear it now.
So apparently, this movie was denied a family-friendly certificate in the UK because of
the nunchucks.
A brief appearance of
nunchucks.
Nunchucks.
I read that. I thought that was the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Oh God!
That you would not release a movie because of nunchucks. Just cut the scene out. The scene the scene means nothing to the movie.
Not even a little.
So you witness the supposed Roy Martin cut the fuel line to the boat, and he jumps off and swims to shore. So fast forward how many years later, and he appears at the door of Mike and Carol, and just basically is like, "I'm back."
The actress who played Jan was 26 when she did this movie.
She's older than Chris. I remember reading that she's older than Christine Taylor.
Yeah.
Dang, 26.
Oh my God. Yeah, I love this movie. I'm sorry. I find it.
I enjoy it too. I thought it was a worthy sequel. I mean,
it
wasn't. It continues the whole 70s family in the present day. It doesn't go crazy with those jokes as much as the first one did, but there are some still fun.
And
ones.
They do the tiki, the cursed tiki idol.
Yes.
Yeah, they do. They have some fun ones with this one.
Yes.
This movie just always makes me laugh. Sorry, I'm like giggling already. When they first realized that they may not be related. Oh God, the sexual quote unquote tension between Greg and Marcia is based on the fact that the actors dated in real life.
Yes.
Yeah. Apparently. The guy who played Greg, what's his name?
Barry Williams.
Barry Williams also said he had a date with Maureen McCormick, or no, Florence Henderson.
And you see that in the growing up.
Well, apparently that kiss was highly dramatized, and it wasn't even like a serious kiss, but like she was like, I gave him like a peck on the cheek for taking me out to dinner. See, this movie, at the end, we also had the Gilligan's Island reference in this.
We did at the end when, it's funny, the actor playing the millionaire is the guy who plays Higgins on Magnum PI, which is set in Hawaii, of course. So that was always a fun little tidbit at the end there. So basically, the entire plot of the movie is Tim Matheson trying to get this horse statue away from the Bradys and go and collect his money because this millionaire is ready to pay him, millions of dollars for this horse.
$20 million. $20 million. But the best is in the first movie, it was the rest of the world reacting to the weirdness of the Bradys. In this, it's very localized. It's
just him. Like I said, they have a couple scenes where the outside world is like, what is wrong with these people?
She's getting laid by all those Hawaiian boys.
But for the most part, they take all of that from the first movie and they just push it onto Tim Matheson. And for basically, he's living in the house, so the family dinners, it's meatloaf, and he despises the meatloaf.
Oh, I hate meatloaf.
So this is my favorite scene in the entire movie. So Alice, is cleaning his room, and she finds his secret stash of mushrooms in his luggage. So she's like, okay. Well, this is why he won't eat my food, because,
he brought his own.
He's filling up on mushrooms before he eats dinner. So she makes him his own batch of spaghetti with mushroom sauce, and he goes ham on it. And when he finds out that they are the special mushrooms in his spaghetti, he has a little fun trip out with the animated version of the Brady kids. I just always found that scene hysterical.
Oh, it's so much fun.
I really did. It was great.
But of course, my favorite scene in the entire movie is when they're up in the attic.
Yep.
And like there's all the tension and like there's the silhouettes and everything. And Greg goes, Marcia? And Marcia goes, yes, Greg. I don't know why. Because even they're both like really surprised at it. And I'm like, oh, God.
Where'd that come from?
If only they knew where the whole stepbrother, stepsister situation would eventually devolve into in 2021. Yeah.
Well, that was a plot line, too, in the show, was them sharing,
the
attic,
yeah.
Thing. But
yeah,
then
there are a few things.
Then taking the whole, that the fact that they were an item off the set.
Yeah. We also have Bobby and Cindy with their detective agency.
Yes.
That was a plot in the show. Yep. I mentioned the Tiki Idol.
Tiki Idol when they go to Hawaii.
Yep.
That was one.
And of course, it turns out that Trevor, as we find out his name is, Roy, was responsible for the boating accident that led to the disappearance of Dr. Whitehead's son Gilligan and Carol's first husband, the professor. And in Dr. Whitehead's words, the minnow was lost.
The minnow was lost, but then Roy goes, they could have washed up on some deserted island.
You never know.
You never know. And he goes, really? Come on, man.
Did you watch Gilligan's Island?
Oh, absolutely.
I love Gilligan's Island.
Every morning that used to be on TV, and it still is. On a channel I have, it's called Me TV. They have all these big
Ginger
shows. Marianne.
I could see you as a Marianne.
Marianne.
Yeah, Ginger. What was it? Dean Winchester's a Ginger fan.
Really?
There's the scene in it's like season 4 or 5 with Zachariah, where he's like, we can make anything appear in this magic room. What about Ginger from season 2 of Gilligan's Island?
I love he says season 2.
He's very specific. We always had a thing for her. We'll throw in Marianne for free. Yeah.
Probably because the show's in color season 2. That probably makes more sense.
I always laugh how in the first season they don't include the Professor and Marianne.
No,
the most iconic part of the song.
But it's funny you say that. It was actually Bob Denver played Gilligan was the one that was like, you need to add them into the credits.
I would have liked to see that as like similar to this. It would have been funny.
Well, they've been talking about a Gilligan's Island movie for years. The last I heard of it was like early 2010s, and Andy Samberg was attached to play Gilligan, which I think would have been.
Oh my God!
I think that would have been fantastic. I think he's one of the few guys I could see playing that character in the vein of Bob Denver. Because essentially, his character in Brooklyn Nine-Nine is like very similar.
Very similar, yeah.
So that he would be perfect for that. So I don't think it's ever going to happen, but that's one that I was surprised they never got off the ground.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we never find out if they ever make it off that island.
You do. They did like a TV movie. Like,
did
after
they get
the
off?
show ended.
They got off the island.
They got off the island, then they went back to the island.
Oh, they lost it.
Something.
They pulled a loss?
Well, they didn't pull a loss.
They're on the island. They're off the island.
I think the millionaire bought the island and built like a hotel or something on it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah,
that would totally make sense. Which theme song's better? Gilligan's Island or the Brady Bunch?
I prefer the Gilligan's Island theme.
I think everybody kind of does.
It's a little more,
I still say Happy Days is the most iconic of all those.
Oh, Happy Days is great. Happy Days is very good. I'm trying to think of other really good ones.
These days are all Happy Days.
They are all Happy Days.
See, that's another one that they never made a movie out of.
Yeah.
Surprising.
I guess you could say it was somewhat based on American Graffiti, but it's a totally different, show.
I want to find out what happened to Richie's older brother.
He went upstairs and just never came back down.
He's with Kelson Oliver and Tiger.
Apparently.
And that's another thing in this this movie with the...
It's like
they're renewing the vows.
They're renewing their vows, and Bobby goes, Cousin Oliver, Tiger? Wait! And then you hear this car just
and then they just ignore it, like, okay.
And then Bobby and Cindy are just like, okay. And then you get a I Dream of Jeannie cameo at the end there with Barbara Eden saying, oh, I'm Mike's wife. And the original that was the ending of the movie.
We also had RuPaul reprising his role. Zaza Gabor?
Zsa. Yeah.
Her too. Last on-screen role. Rosie O'Donnell. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Barbara Eden, as we mentioned. David Spade and Richard Belzer.
Right. Richard. Oh, I think he was a cop. Richard Belzer.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, David Spade has the scene where he's doing like her hair, and like he's like it's like a grunge hairstylist, and he ends up just basically doing the same thing she had. It was just funny.
Oh, I love it.
But I do like the sequel. I really do. It was it wasn't as adult themed as the first one was. I think it was a little more family.
I don't think so.
It still had mature moments, but I don't think it was as excessive as the first one.
Oh, you know what? One of my other favorite lines.
What?
He said the B word. Mister, you deceived my family, kidnapped my wife, and worst of all, you used foul language in front of my children. It's such a Brady line. And then he punches him in the face.
He does.
Oh, it was great. I'm going to kick your... That was in the trailer, too. I'm going to kick your Brady
butt.
He said the B word. So this movie, released in August of 96, grossed $7.1 million on its opening weekend, and sales were about $21.4 million on a...
So it's about half of what the first one did.
Yeah,
so it definitely was not...
It only made about $6 million more than its budget.
I remember seeing this movie in theaters. I do.
Oh, yeah. I wish I did. But we also had a different actor.
Director.
Thank you. Which was...
I knew where you were going.
Arlene Sanford.
Never heard of her.
Of that individual, yes. Let's see. I have this magic laptop that's Almost Famous, or Almost Family, the TV series, Grand Hotel.
A lot of TV shows.
Psych. Oh, I like Psych. Psych's funny. Yeah, mostly
mainly
TV.
a TV director. I think, honestly...
Dawson's Creek.
Yeah. She did a episode of Friends, but for the
The
most
one with
part...
the butt.
I think that was her only feature-length directorial job.
Oh my god, there was a
Very
Ferris
Brady
Bueller
Sequel.
TV show. I totally forgot.
Yeah, with Jennifer Aniston.
Oh my god, I gotta lay down.
It was absolutely horrible.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. See, again, another example
Weird
of...
Science. Remember
That's
the
a
Weird
good one,
Science
yeah, that's a
TV?
good
That
one.
actually show was on for like 4 years.
Oh yeah, Bill and Ted had
Bill and Ted.
a live action and a cartoon.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, so much fun. I love it. But do you want to do a Star City rating?
You do Star City rating. I'd give this movie a 2.5.
I give it a 3, same as
the first.
Yeah,
Okay.
For different reasons. I know which, like, if put a gun to my head, which one am I gonna watch? It's gonna be the sequel. I don't know why.
Fair enough.
I think it's funnier. I think that because, like, you know what it is, like, after the initial shock value of them, because unfortunately, like, the first one, the whole thing about the movie is like the shock appeal of them in the 90s.
Yeah.
So like the whole movie's revolved around it, and then like after you see it like enough, you're like, okay, I get it, it's funny, but you know, this one at least had like I don't want to say like a better plot, but it like a more...
Well, it had a more...
They were over the trope of them being
Yes.
displaced.
It was a more interesting plot because you're taking, you know, sort of an adventure, you know, where this guy is trying to find this artifact and, you know, he's deceiving them. You know, you tie in the whole whatever happened to Carol's first husband because you really never find out.
Never.
Is he her husband? Is he not her husband? I mean, for the most part, you know it's not him. But, yes, I agree with you. I think the plot of this movie was a little more, you know, interesting to, you know, someone of our age at the time compared to the first one.
Yeah.
And again, as you said, you know, getting past the whole, you know, 70s family in the 90s LA, you know, that was great for the first one. And then again, they really didn't harp on it as much in the second one, except for taking, you know, certain, you know, gags and putting them all on Tim Matheson, you know, basically putting somebody of the 90s living in that house and having to like deal with the family.
Or like when Greg and Marsha go on the double date and they're cringy.
Yeah.
Fish out of water stories can only go so far with me. Some examples of times that it worked out. Wonder Woman does a great job with the fish, and then they do manage to successfully flip it in the sequel, and it was the only redeeming thing about the sequel because the sequel was just that bad. But some fish out of water stories, especially like if they're done again, like we saw this, like we saw this in the first movie, and that's why the 22 Jump Street is hilarious because they're like, you know, nobody thought the first one was going to... They actually say in this movie, nobody thought the Jump Street program was going to work. People laughed when we, like... And now they think just by giving us more money, like... It's a real... I got to show it to you after we're done. But, you know, I like how in the sequel, they still paid, like, their little homage to the first one where it's, like, fish out of water, but it wasn't the whole movie.
No, I agree.
Because you get a lot of movies, like, look at the Hangover series, where same... movie.
I mean, you get your funny moments like in the sequel when they're on the plane, and they break out into song, and then you know the stewardess gets on the the loudspeaker and says, "Well, the family that's singing in the aisle, please sit down and shut up." And you know the rest of the plane is just like you know applauding, but they're oblivious. They're still dancing, and they go to sit down. But you know there's a few great moments, and then but again, you're right. They don't. It's not the focus of the movie. The focus of this movie is a little more, plot driven than just having gags from the show or plot lines from the show melded together in one movie.
Yeah.
So, again,
still a good time.
Still recommend the movie. I mean, it's very, it's rare when you get a sequel that, you either like more or is, better. I'd say their movies are very close together in terms of likability, in terms of the way they're done. For you like the second one a little better than the first one. For me, I like the first one a little better than the second one.
Mm.
But again, if either or is on TV, I'll watch either or. I don't. I'm not going to scoff that a Very Brady Sequel's on TV.
I'm not going to pay $2.99 though to rent it.
I did.
Did you really?
Yeah, $2.99. Didn't buy it. It was like.
Is this still on your account? All right, give me your login later. We'll find out.
Actually, I think it's you watch it and you get 48 hours to watch
something
it
like
again.
that. Yeah.
Actually, no. I think once you watch it, I think it goes off. I think once you.
Oh man.
I think once you. I don't know. Whatever.
And then they also did a made-for-television sequel to this called The Brady Bunch in the White House.
Which I never heard of until I saw it in a store.
Oh my God.
On DVD.
Shelley Long and Gary Cole reprised their roles.
Yeah, but all the kids are different.
Well, it's 2002.
Yeah, so it's 5-6 years after. So there's no way they could have the same kids.
Wow, look at that.
And it's like Mike becomes the president of the United States. And
is that Blake Foster? That's the kid from Power Rangers.
Oh, really? Was he
Justin?
Was he Bobby?
Peter.
Oh, he's Peter?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I don't recognize any of this other cast, but that's really funny, actually.
Never saw it. Never probably will, because I don't think you can find it anywhere.
Probably not. But anyway, I think anything else we want to talk about Brady-wise?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up on this one. We highly recommend them for anyone out there who's not seen them. Again, if you're a fan of the show, I can't imagine you have not seen these movies.
Yeah.
You can find the Brady Bunch. I believe it's still on Nick at Night. Most who knows?
Question mark.
But that was always the place. I used to find it when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's on for anybody who lives in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area. There's a channel called MeTV, which basically is all old, 60s, 70s, 80s TV shows, and they do the Brady Bunch on that, Gilligan's Island, all those types of shows. So you can still find the show to watch it, and then these movies, mostly they're not available on streamers. So you're stuck between renting or.
I think the only
buying.
one is the original, the first Brady Bunch movie's on Amazon Prime.
It's on Amazon Prime to rent. It says when you go on the app, it says that you can get it through Cinemax if you do.
Oh, you got to do it through Prime.
Whenever I click it, it says it just goes to rent. It won't
That's
let you.
silly.
So it was a bit of an annoyance, but hey, what are you gonna do?
Spent $6 renting movies.
So we hope you enjoyed our little discussion on the Brady Bunch movie.
If you're still here, you probably should have.
I would hope so.
You would think so.
We have decided what our next episode is going to be on. Paul, would you like to share that news?
Batman. No.
We can't talk about Batman on this podcast.
I just like triggering Sean. We are going to be going over the Flintstones, the live-action
Flintstones?
Are your headphones low? You want me to turn
them on? I don't know.
It said the Flintstones, yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay. Yes, we're going to be... Next week, we're going to go over the live-action Flintstones and the worst sequel ever.
I don't know if it's the worst sequel ever, but it's up there.
It's right there with Son of the Mask.
That's... Okay, I'm going to fight you on that one.
Okay,
I don't think it's as bad as Son of the Mask, but it's not great, but I don't think it's as bad as Son of the Mask.
So also next week, Battle Royale. But anyway.
Okay, Son of the Mask is god-awful. I don't think Flintstone Viva Rock Vegas is god-awful. It's close, but it's not there yet. Sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't know you were going to go god-awful. But I was like...
triggered already. The next week's going to be fun. But yes, so next week we're going to go over the Flintstones. So if you guys have any thoughts on the Flintstones live-action adaptation or the cartoon series, too, that it was based off of.
Oh, I love the cartoon.
I love the cartoon also. But you can always reach out to us. You can find us on Facebook at Cinematic Adventures. We are going to go over Fan Feedback Friday in a second, by the way. Very quickly, because it was a short one today. You can also find us on our website, themisfitfaction.com. You can find us on Instagram at The Misfit Faction. You can find us on YouTube. All of our videos, or all of our audio gets put onto YouTube through our site, Podbean. So you can always find us there at the Misfit Faction Media Network. And every time you guys find us, like, comment, share, subscribe, tell your friends. All of them. Because the more listeners we get, the more downloads, the more subscribers, the more content we can do for you guys. Over the summer, we do plan on doing a ton of bonus episodes.
Yes.
Eventually doing some commentary if that's ever requested enough. Because
I request it.
I know you request it, but I don't think anybody wants to hear us talk during their favorite movie.
Well.
I
mean,
Okay. But so we had Fan Feedback Friday.
I applaud your choices for both this and multiverse options wise for Fan Feedback Friday.
Oh, thank you.
I'm sad that I'm a little more response on multiverse, but it's not much on ours. But
so the question was, what is one television show you wish was made into a movie? So I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping for some good ones.
Yeah, we tried to get the ball rolling. You of course put Supernatural,
Smallville.
I put Smallville. Now when I said that, it was more just saying I wanted a Superman movie with those actors.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to see. I always wanted to see Tom Welling continue the role, but it was more. I wanted to see Michael Rosenbaum do a full-on Lex Luthor, in a movie.
I am glad we did eventually get closure on Clark
absolutely.
and Lois with Crisis on Infinite Earths, but yeah, I agree. And then my favorite comment: all my favorite shows were made into movies and were mostly disappointing. Yeah,
there you go.
There it is. But
which is true. It's a lot of TV shows that are made in movies usually don't end up being all that great.
That is a fair statement. So I think that pretty much wraps us up.
That wraps
tonight.
us up for the week. Alrighty, again. Well, everybody, we hope you enjoyed this as much as we did, and we're looking forward to next week. And as always, I'm Sean.
And I'm Paul.
Have a very groovy rest of your day.
Far out, man. That's swell. Bye.